Hey guys, welcome back to the Album Book Club. My name's Carson, this is Stephen. Today we're going to be reviewing Fish in a Birdcage's self-titled EP. This came out in 2014, and I think it's a great alternative kind of EP. It provides a lot of interesting sounds, especially a lot of variations with stringed instruments, which is the big kind of main theme here. There's a lot of stringed instruments throughout. And without further ado, let's get into the first song, Rule Number 1, Magic. And before we get into any of this, I want to talk about their naming scheme. All of their songs are named Rule Number something.
Yeah.
And it has to do with, like, the title of the song is actually after the rule. So I wonder kind of what's the lore behind the rules, because I couldn't really find it. I gave the song an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a really strong start. It has a really heavy kind of groove to it. And I love all of the different stringed instruments you hear throughout it. It's such a strong introduction to their sound because it's very unique with the amount of strings here. It reminds me a lot of Andrew Bird. He's a very popular string artist, and if there was a song that, you know, I'd kind of show people, it'd be this one. This really encapsulates their sound. It does everything it needs to do as the first song of this EP.
100%. I felt as if, like, coming into the song, like the percussion kind of grounded the song, while the strings kind of did the opposite.
Yeah, it lifted it up while the percussion kind of kept it grounded.
Yeah, just honestly, I was just so impressed by this. Yeah, coming into this, so, you know, I always get a little bit anxious listening to an artist that I don't know, because I'm like, am I going to waste my time listening to something that's terrible? Sometimes that is the case. In this case, no. The vocals on this song, I guess the vocalist for Fish in a Birdcage, just has this strange quality of the vocals being so strong, yet they're also light.
Yeah, they're very light. It's a very airy kind of tone, and I think it's really impressive that they can put as much emphasis as they do with that tone.
I mean, there was just so much body behind it. Yet it also kind of felt like it was like dancing around.
Yeah, it
on
helps.
Top of the sound.
It really dances alongside the strings, and it brings a very nice uplifted kind of mood to it.
100%. I gave this one an 8.8 out of 10.
Let's get into rule number 2, Moonlight. I gave this one a 7 out of 10. This is a very beautiful song. It starts out very beautifully, and like the build up into adding on more and more strings, and everything is beautiful. I think it's done really well. However, my only gripe with it is basically it's not exactly for me. I like a certain amount of strings, and I like a certain amount of styling with them, and I much prefer the faster paced plucking kind of style we saw in Magic.
That's fair. Honestly, I thought the piano on this song just added a lot of, like, emotional depth.
Oh, yeah.
Because just the guitar and, like, the vocals by themselves wouldn't, I mean, they would have felt more like a folk song, but the piano is like, oh, okay, I get the message.
It's such an emotional song.
100%.
Like, it almost got a higher rating from me. I don't know why 7 is kind of where it stayed. It was just, I think it was a little too much.
I get that. There was a point in the song where I'm like, why am I kind of, like, tearing up right now?
Yeah.
No, but just very emotional. Also, like, I don't know if this is actually the case, but it feels like the vocalist is also playing guitar.
I think. Maybe.
Because it kind of, like, those sounds just complemented each other way too much for me to be like, oh, it's two different people. Like,
it all blends in so well. And we see a lot of that in the next song, in particular. But with Moonlight, I think a little of it was still a little held back. Getting into rule number 3, Paperwork, I thought this one had a really interesting start. And, you know, it's somebody kind of reading you a bedtime story. And I think it's really cool. I gave this song a 9.5. A really high rating, and it all comes from this nice narrative being driven solely inside this song. That's so impressive to me. And then the transition between the speaking parts and the actual played parts, how fun the played parts are, how joyful they are. You know, the strings really work here. It's crazy.
I just realized that I forgot to mention my rating for the last song. 7.8 out of 10. Sorry. No, the sort of narrative opening to this song almost kind of struck me as like spoken word. That sort of like poetry style.
Yeah, it's very poetic.
But I mean, his voice is just so soothing. So like, it felt like a bedtime story because of that. I kind of get where you're coming from.
Yeah, like a little bit of that ASMR kind of feel at the very beginning of this song.
Like
it
keep
puts
talking,
you to bed.
Yes, for real.
And then it brings you right back into this super uplifting, like, groove.
Yeah, when those backup vocals came in, it just like introduced the increased pace of the rest of the song just super well. Like that switch was.
This is one of the songs on here that I cannot just listen to the front half. I have to listen to
Yeah.
this all the way through.
It's a
I
bit of a
can't
journey.
skip the end.
No.
There's no part of this that you can skip, and that's why I had to give it a 9.5. I don't think it's absolutely perfect. I think it's a little long, and that's my only gripe with it.
I gave this one an 8.5 out of 10. But overall, I still really enjoyed it. It's just such an amazing song.
Yeah, it's such an interesting and like kind of beautiful song.
Yeah.
Let's get into rule number 4, Fish in a Birdcage. I gave this one a 9 out of 10. It's so good. The introduction, it's so cool.
I can't agree more.
It's insane. It's hard to talk about this song in particular
Yeah.
because it's kind of just a banger all the way through, and it's not that they did anything notable. It's just that it's that good. And that's kind of contradictory in a sense, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't stand out in any one sort of way with like the transitions or, you know, the variation, because it's all done super well. None of it really outshines the other.
I get that. I feel like this song was supposed to be an amalgamation of their sound because you see the fusion, I feel like, of all the different worldly influences the most in this song.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
the intro, the violin was almost like, I would say it had like a classical disposition to it.
Oh, absolutely. It reminded me a lot of like early concertos and stuff like that. I'm a huge
100%.
fan of classical music, and
Yeah.
it brought that vibe.
And with that as well, I mean, like, all the different sorts of drums. It was like all hand percussion, which I really enjoyed about this. I mean, of course, I like a traditional drum kit, like cymbals and all that good stuff. But the hand drumming, like I said earlier, just grounds it a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, now let's talk about that album art. I think it's great. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I just think it's really cool. I like it being an actual goldfish floating in a birdcage. You know, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the album art itself, it's very simple. There's really not a lot to it. I mean, there's 2 elements when you break it down. But I think the simplicity of it kind of complements the actual sound of the artist.
Because this kind of has the like folk music softness to it, and it being as simplistic as it is, like these instruments, you know, hand drums, the strings are kind of complex, but if you really go back, the strings are a really long-standing instrument.
Yeah, and I feel like along the lines of handmade, hand done, like the art looks like it was hand drawn.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it looks like it was hand drawn out of like a 19th century novel. Like you'd open up a copy of, I don't know.
It almost looks like the Darwin like manuscripts.
Yes, exactly. That sort of like styling.
Yeah, it's really neat.
But I would give this an 8.4. That's also the rating that I gave the last song. I forgot to mention.
Dang, so you even gotta start rating these songs.
No, for real.
Anyway, that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to this point in the video, make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, we'll see you guys next time.